Lucifer. It is one of the most evocative, terrifying, and recognizable names in the Western world. Just saying it conjures up a specific, cinematic backstory. We know exactly who this is. The story goes like this. Before the creation of humanity, God created a supreme angel. He was the most beautiful, the most powerful, and the brightest of the heavenly host. His name was Lucifer, the light bringer, but he became proud. He wanted to sit on God's throne. He led a rebellion of 1/3 of the angels, was defeated by Archangel Michael, and was cast down into hell, where he became Satan, the adversary. This biography, the bedrock of Christian mythology. It's the plot of John Milton's Paradise Lost. It's the backstory for the TV show Lucifer. It's taught in Sunday schools across America. But what if I told you that this entire story is based on a mistake? What if I told you that the name Lucifer never appears in the original Hebrew Bible? That it isn't a proper name at all, but a Latin word meaning morning star? And that the famous verse where Lucifer falls from heaven wasn't originally written about the devil, but was a political diss track aimed at a very human, very mortal, and very dead king of Babylon? How did a Latin adjective describing a planet turn into the proper name of the Prince of Darkness? And how did a political poem about a Babylonian tyrant become the biography of a fallen angel? Today, we are doing a linguistic autopsy. We are going to trace the history of a translation error that became a theological cornerstone. This is the story of how the church accidentally invented Lucifer. To solve this mystery, we have to go to the source. The smoking gun. This is the only place in the standard King James Bible where the name appears. Isaiah 14:12. In the King James Version 16:11, it reads, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?" On the surface, this looks like a clear description of an angelic fall. Fallen from heaven, son of the morning. It fits the Satan narrative perfectly. But to understand what Isaiah was actually saying, we have to stop reading this verse in isolation and look at the context. If you read the beginning of the chapter Isaiah 14:4, God gives the prophet Isaiah specific instructions on who this poem is about. God says, "You will take up this taunt against the king of Babylon." This is not a theology textbook. It is a political taunt. It is a funeral dirge, dripping with sarcasm, mock the death of an arrogant, tyrannical Babylonian king, Tiglath-Pileser III or Nebuchadnezzar II. The prophet is mocking the king's hubris. The king thought he was a god. He thought he would ascend to the heavens, but now he is dead. He's rotting in the ground with the maggots v11, just like everyone else. So, if the poem is about a human king, what is with the fallen from heaven part? This brings us to the original Hebrew. The word Isaiah used was not Lucifer. The Hebrew phrase is Helul ben Shahar. Helul means shining one or bright one. Ben Shahar means son of the dawn. Isaiah was using a metaphor that his ancient audience would have instantly understood. He was referring to the planet Venus, the morning star. If you watch the sky, the morning star Venus rises just before the sun. It shines incredibly brightly, looking like it is going to outshine everything and conquer the sky. But the moment the sun, the true power, rises, the morning star fades and vanishes. It falls from its high place. In ancient Canaanite mythology, this astronomical event was personified as a minor god, Helul, who tried to overthrow the high god El, only to be cast down. Isaiah is using this well-known myth as a political metaphor. He is saying to the king of Babylon, "You are like the morning star. You shone brightly. You thought you would rise above God the sun. But just like the planet Venus, you have faded. You have crashed down to the underworld." So, in the 8th century BCE, this text had zero connection to Satan or devils. It was a poem about astronomy and geopolitics. So where did Lucifer come from? The transformation of this word is a game of telephone played over 1,000 years. Step 1. The Septuagint, Hebrew to Greek in the 3rd century BCE. Jewish scholars translated the Hebrew Bible into Greek. When they got to Hillel ben Shahar, they needed the Greek word for the morning star planet Venus. They chose the word Eosphoros, meaning dawnbringer. At this point, it's still not a proper name for a demon. It's just the planet. Step 2. The Vulgate Greek to Latin. Fast forward to the 4th century AD. The church is now Roman. St. Jerome is translating the Bible into Latin. The famous Vulgate. He looks at Eosphoros. He needs the Latin word for the morning star. That word is Lucifer. Luke equals light, for equals bringer, bearer. Lucifer is simply the Latin word for the planet Venus. It is a standard, lowercase noun. In fact, Jerome uses the word Lucifer in other places in the Bible in a positive way. Here is the mind-blowing irony. In Peter 1:19, the Latin Vulgate refers to Jesus as Lucifer, until the day dawn, and the day star rise in your hearts. In the early Latin church, Lucifer was a title of honor. It meant light bringer. It was applied to Christ. It was even used as a name for Christian bishops. So, for the first 400 years of Christianity, Lucifer was not the devil. It was just the Latin word for Venus. So how did a Latin adjective describing a planet and a human king become the proper name of Satan? It happened because early Christian theologians were obsessed with connecting the dots. They practiced a method of reading scripture called typology, looking for hidden patterns and spiritual meanings behind the literal text. They read the words in Isaiah 14, "I will ascend to heaven, will sit on the mount of assembly, I will make myself like the Most High." Then they looked at the words of Jesus in Luke 10:18, "I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven." And they looked at Revelation 12, which describes a dragon Satan being cast down to earth. Church fathers like Origen, 3rd century, and Tertullian connected these three things. They argued Isaiah might be literally talking about the king of Babylon, but spiritually, who is the ultimate example of pride, who is the ultimate rebel who tried to be like God and fell from heaven, Satan. They decided that the king of Babylon was a type or a puppet of the true power behind the throne, the devil. Therefore, the description of the morning star's fall was actually a description of Satan's prehistoric fall. Once this theological connection was made, the Latin word in the text Lucifer stopped being read as a noun, morning star, and started being read as a proper noun, Mr. Lucifer. By the Middle Ages, the transformation was complete. The biography of the Babylonian king pride, rebellion, fall was cut out of Isaiah and pasted onto Satan. Lucifer became his pre-fall angelic name. The human politics were forgotten. The cosmic mythology was born. This theological theory might have remained an obscure doctrine if not for the power of fiction. The image of Lucifer we have today was cemented by two literary giants who wrote fan fiction based on this interpretation. 1. Dante Alighieri, The Divine Comedy, 1320. Dante placed Lucifer at the very bottom of hell. He froze the image of the fallen angel into the western mind. 2. John Milton, Paradise Lost, 1667. This is the big one. Milton took the Lucifer interpretation of Isaiah 14 and expanded it into an epic, 10,000-line poem. Image: Gustave Dor's illustration of Lucifer. In Paradise Lost, Milton gave Lucifer a personality. He gave him the famous speeches, "Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven." He fleshed out the war in heaven, the jealousy, the fall. Most people today, when they think of the devil, are not thinking of the Bible. They are thinking of John Milton. Milton's poem was so popular, so culturally dominant, that his version of events, Lucifer the beautiful angel rebelling out of pride, effectively replaced the biblical text in the popular imagination. Later English Bible translators were so influenced by this tradition that when they translated Isaiah 14, they didn't translate Hallel as morning star, they kept the Latin capitalization. They wrote O Lucifer. They codified the interpretation into the translation. If you open a modern Bible today and an IV, ESV, or an RSV and turn to Isaiah 14:12, you will notice something. The name Lucifer is gone. It now reads, "How you have fallen from heaven, morning star, son of the dawn." Modern translators, using archaeology and linguistics, have gone back to the original Hebrew meaning. They have corrected the text back to its original context, a metaphor about Venus and the Babylonian king. But this correction causes immense confusion. Conspiracy theorists and King James oneists often accuse modern Bibles of removing the devil or hiding the truth by taking Lucifer out. They argue that by calling the falling figure morning star, modern Bibles are blasphemously equating Satan with Jesus. In reality, the morning star is just a title that can be applied to anyone who is bright or early. It's used for Jesus, for the king of Babylon, and even for believers. It's a description, not a name. Theological distortion. So, we are left with a fascinating reality. The name Lucifer, the backstory of the angelic rebellion, and the fall from heaven, as described in Isaiah, technically the result of a 2,000-year-old game of linguistic telephone and theological pattern matching. But this leaves us with a final, profound debate. On one side, is the entire concept of Lucifer or theological mistake? Did the church take a political poem about a dead human tyrant and accidentally turn it into a biography for a cosmic supervillain? By creating this beautiful fallen angel narrative, did we distract from the Bible's actual, more mysterious depiction of the Satan figure? On the other side, or was this mistake actually a providential insight? Did the early church fathers rightly see that the king of Babylon was just a shadow of a greater reality? Even if Isaiah didn't know he was writing about Satan, does the text function as a double prophecy? Does the name Lucifer actually capture a profound truth about evil, that it often disguises itself as beauty, light, and intelligence before it falls? Is Lucifer a translation error, or is it the truest name the devil ever had? Let me know your thoughts, respectfully, in the comments below. If you found this deep dive into the hidden history of language and theology fascinating, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content that uncovers the real stories behind our beliefs. Thanks for watching.